was saying, and now our instance is created and status is okay, and you can read the following. We've already seen this previously. So when you create an instance, you're still going to get a mail which says your HarperDB cloud instance, sorry, and the name of the instance is now ready. So you can log in and use it, but I'm already logged in, so I'm just going to click this. And I'm going to explain what I was talking about before about the Excel worksheet and the Excel CSV file. Now this is the creation of the database. So first off, I'm going to give it a schema. So I'm going to call it, well, I feel like this is a conference where everyone meets and talks. So I'm just going to call it a conference. And this shouldn't take a while. Yep. And let's say the first table name is going to be called, let's say, users, and the ID, the hash attribute is going to be an ID, which is the hash attribute is actually auto generated, so you don't, it's not auto incremented, but it's auto generated. We're going to show you what that means in a while, but essentially, okay, so first things first, you create a schema and then a table. And now you can use this plus sign to add a record to the table, but I'm going to assume you don't have like, or you're joining a firm and they already have something and you need to import a CSV file. So this is in case they have a URL for public access, but I'm guessing they won't. So let's click. Okay, wait, before we do this, I'm going to show you the difference between the two. Now, one of this is a CSV and one of this should be a worksheet. Now, they both contain the same details, as you can see, about the same details, but if I should add both of them, one is going to give me an error because, as it rightfully says here, upload a CSV file. So for the fun of it and just to let you guys know how errors come about, I'm going to upload this, and now you can see 17 records, but what I add over there was not 17. This is a worksheet I opened, and if it comes up, you're going to see it's just 6 records in there, but it's saying 17, and if you tend to use that, you're going to come up with errors. This is 6 records, sorry, because this is not counted. This is what the database uses for this, and this is what the database uses for your colon name. So if I should insert this record, you're going to get an error, which is expected. The unexpected thing that could happen is this going through. Well, I'm very sure it should not go through. Starting to feel like, yeah, so CSV file contains an invalid column name. Now I'm going to show you what happens. The previous one had 17 records, but with the CSV, you see this has 6 records, which is right. So initially you can actually do the debugging from your head and tell how many records you're expecting, and this is actually what I left in my database. Now the fun thing about HarperDB is, usually when creating a database, once it's created and it's out there, there's pretty not much you can do to create a new column. But seeing as HarperDB is more dynamic and it helps a developer, sometimes we make mistakes and it's good to have the option to correct them. Like, let's say, okay, this is a list of people I met on Twitter. Most of them are Flutter developers. So let's say I was going to give them roles. Let's click on Laulu. So let's say now we know. Okay, I'd go back a bit so I'd explain this further. Now we just have first name, last name, Twitter name, gender, and I wanted to add a role, but you see, I did not add that. So let's say I wanted to add that. That would be a problem if I was using other database, but HarperDB is pretty dynamic and it's not fixed. So I'm just gonna start with someone I'm close to, Marco, and the good thing about HarperDB is I can just add the new column. Let's say role. I'm not gonna make this cap role, and sorry, I'm just gonna say developer. Now what you just need to do is write the column name, a colon, and then in quotation marks you just have to write the value. It's like a key and a value, the way it works in JSON. And this would be grayed out if I actually added a comma here. Yep, so that's grayed out, but when I remove the comma it works, just in case you get that error. And what happens is when you put a new colon, it takes every other person's own as null. So Austin Vic, I could actually change this to developer and save this. So it back populates everybody to null until you update it. So probably you can run a code to update them based on their roles, probably an edit button or so, but you get the gist of how it works. So what I'm going to do now is, I know Laulu's into tech, but I don't think, let's just say tech guy. I'm just gonna call Laulu the tech guy. Okay, tech guy. Because like I feel like he knows a lot about tech, but it's not really working with it. Now, for those of you who are not aware, you can actually use SQL statements in HarperDB. That's SQL. Uh, Basically, what that is I'm going to open the query window and I'm going to show you how that works. So now you guys might come into errors here because normally what you do is select, and it's not case sensitive. That's another good side for me because I hate case sensitive things, like it affects me. So select star from, usually you'd want to say users, but I promise that's going to give you an error because you did not define the schema. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to go back to browse, and now the schema is conference and the table is users. So if I wanted to get everyone here, all I have to do is select star from, okay, I think it was conference dot, now it's going to be the schema name and then the table name. Now this shouldn't give me an error. Yes, so it's first off the schema name dot the table name, and saying I wanted to get only the developers, so I'll just say where role. Funny enough, I've not tried this previous to this tutorial. Role equal to developer. I hope I get it right. Okay, so my SQL is still strong. And that's how it works. You can just query everything easily. Now I'm going to show you how you can actually use, because most people have different ways they can connect to an, you can use it like an API. So I'm going to show you testing it like an API basically, and how it works smoothly. So first off, I'm going to go to my profile. Okay, sorry, not my profile. I'm going to go to just HarperDb, and obviously I own this. Like my friend would say, I made it my bitch, pardon my language. But I'm just going to copy this, and now for those of you who don't know about error codes from API, this would actually help you a lot to tell what is wrong, because I know a lot of people actually like face errors connecting, because you hear a lot of jokes about connecting your back end to your front end, and sometimes it's a joke, sometimes people are actually going through serious stuff. So what I'm going to show you is there's a list of errors here. Now I'm going to just send this get request, and normally this goes through, but here's what it looks like. Here's what this looks like. I'm going to show you real quick. And I didn't get an error code. 200 actually means 200 means everything is okay, everything went awesome. 201 means something is created. 202, something is accepted. Now 400 is a bad request. 401 not authorized. 403 forbidden. Basically, you can get this whole error message. So, but we don't need that. So what this is showing me is it actually went through, but it got stuck here, and that's why I'm getting contents are basically HTML, but I don't need HTML. So what happened is, if you clearly remember, when we're creating the instance, we created a username and a password, which is what it is requesting. The username was open source, I'm guessing, I hope I remember them, free for all. Now if I log into HarperDB, you see I'm going to get all the details. So what this is doing is it's already in this previous stage. Okay, it's not going to sign out now, but it was in the previous stage where I had not put my username and password, but it got the content right. So what I need to do actually is actually put in the username and the password. The username was conference, and the password was, oh sorry, open source, and the password was free for all. And now it's still going to give me the same thing. Yes, I'm going to explain why. Because, and please, if you're using JSON, make sure it's JSON. Most people using API usually use JSON, so i'm I'm going to explain why I need a key and a value. And unlike other, I'm treating HarperDB like an API right now. So unlike other APIs, you just have one endpoint. Now this part you have to write exactly as I write it. Operation and then SQL. Now, okay. Now this is the part we can mess with. Okay, you have to also write SQL here. And here is where we can mess with. Remember I wrote the code about select, and the schema was conference dot users, I guess. Please let it be users. Now if I run this, I'd get what I actually need. So you see, so basically you have to make sure you write this exactly. 1 2 3 should be written exactly, and this is where you can manipulate. And I can decide to write that query where role is equal to developers. I think, was it developers? I really don't recall, but if I get an error, okay, I got an error. Basically Well, it's not seeing it as an error because, but it's an empty set, so you can treat an empty set as an error. So I'm guessing it's not developers, it's maybe developer. And yes, it's not developers, it's developer. So you can have errors like that. And basically, I think a little looking around and going back, tracing your steps could actually fix errors like that. So what you need to know is authorization, the content, and basically the URL which you can get from uh, well, we got it the last time from here. You just click and it's copied. So that's all you need to know about creating or connecting your project to HarperDB. So in a short while, and something I also need people to be aware of, sometimes people don't have the base 64 encoding. So in case you did not, you're running a programming language that does not encompass that, you can basically, the username and password has been encoded here, and that's what you see as this. So you can just copy this. I'm going to copy it. You can just copy this and you can use it. So right now what we're going to be doing is actually using this system in Flutter.